So this Level Up with LinkedIn workshop will be is being recorded, and I'm going to post it on our Facebook page for Jeffco BRC later. So feel free to share this with anybody that you'd like. And with that, I'm going to welcome Valerie Morris with Tintero Creative. And she is a strong partner of Jeffco BRC. Valerie is one of the launch teachers and instructors. She's been with us for 3-4 years now. We've been working together for a while, and she also does other social media workshops through the years. So we are thrilled to have you here today. Thank you, and I'm gonna turn it over to you.
Okay, great. Well, thank you guys so much for your time and attention. And I'm really hoping that, I mean, the fact that you're here already is proof that you're kind of taking this seriously. But one of my biggest encouragements to people right now is to take advantage of the downtime that we have. It's very rare that we're ever gifted time. And for a lot of us, that is what we have right now. And so, you know, a lot of times marketing stuff kind of gets put on the back burner. We're always like, oh, well, you know, I've got these paying clients or these paying customers. I have to take care of them right now. But right now is a great time to really take advantage of some of those projects that have just been on the back of your mind. So LinkedIn might be one of them, but there's so many other things that you could be doing right now. Email newsletters, websites, planning out social media posts, writing that book you wanted to write, you know, so many different things that you could be doing. So I encourage you not to, don't miss this opportunity. At the same time, don't stress yourself out if you feel like, oh my goodness, I'm grieving or I'm resting or I'm relaxing. Like, I think that's all important too. But at the same time, don't just binge on Netflix for the next month. Take advantage of the fact that we've got extra time on our hands, and some of those things that we've been putting off, we can take advantage of. So today we're going to be diving into LinkedIn, which is one of my favorite platforms online right now. And actually, I probably have said that for the last 4 or 5 years. LinkedIn has consistently proven to be just a great platform where you can get noticed without having to fight the algorithm as hard as you do on other platforms. So things that you used to be able to do on Facebook, the number of people you used to be able to reach, a lot of that stuff has been slowly taken away over time, and LinkedIn gives us the opportunity to do a lot of that stuff still. So I really like it. I also like that it's professional in nature. So you don't have a lot of the political, fighting. You don't have a lot of the silly cat videos and memes and pictures of people's kids. As cute as all of that stuff is, when people go to LinkedIn, they're focused. And so I like that piece of it because I feel like I can make better use of my time. So if you wouldn't mind, in the chat feature, just give me a word or 1 or 2 words about, how have you used LinkedIn so far? Do you feel like you're a beginner? Do you have a profile but you haven't done anything else? Do you log on a couple times a week? What would you say is your current level of LinkedIn? And there's no judgment here, because a lot of us, it comes and goes. Some people have just used it as a job searching technique. Some people are using it regularly for sales. Some people, they just created a profile because they kept getting connection requests and they didn't know what else to do. And now they're realizing that there's a tool in front of them. Okay, so a lot of people I'm seeing they have profiles, but it needs to be updated, or they have a profile that's never been used. Some people are connecting with other professionals, searching for contacts, searching for people in their field. So great. Okay, awesome. So I'm going to share my screen here. And we will start diving through some of the slides. And again, feel free to put those questions in the chat window. And then as we get closer to the end, we'll kind of open it up for talking through some of those. So like I said, LinkedIn is a really great social media platform. And what I love about it is one, that it's not owned by Facebook. So Mark Zuckerberg owns Instagram and Facebook, and then Google owns YouTube. So there's a lot in the social media space that is owned by two big giants in our digital world, and LinkedIn is not one of them. Oh, well, I take that back. They're owned by Microsoft, but I don't think most people really see Microsoft as a big enough threat compared to Facebook and Google. But LinkedIn has kind of remained kind of on its own. And a lot of people just kind of discount it because they think that it's just for resumes, getting those new jobs. And us as entrepreneurs and business owners, like we've kind of probably heard that LinkedIn is beneficial for us, but honestly, sometimes we're just not sure what to do with it. So today we're going to be talking through the human body. We're all thinking about health and wellness and our bodies these days. So we're going to think about the body a little bit more. So the first place to start when you think about doing anything on LinkedIn is to make sure that your profile is in good shape. And the reason that this is so prevalent is that people really are going to scope out your profile. Whereas on Facebook and Instagram, a lot of times people might connect with you because they recognize your photo or you've got mutual friends. But on LinkedIn, people tend to pay a lot of attention to the actual profile that you've got. And so we're not going to go into a ton of depth on, because you could do a whole presentation just on how to have a good profile on LinkedIn, but we'll talk through some of the basics. And I have the skeleton over here because this is really the foundation. If you don't have a decent profile, all of the other stuff that I'm going to recommend you do is going to really kind of fall flat because you're not being strategic with what they're seeing when they scope you out. So you always want to make sure that you have a good photo. So any profile photo, I've heard this, some different opinions on this. Some people like to have the exact same photo as you have in other spots, so that your Facebook profile is the same as your LinkedIn, is the same as your headshot and your email signature, is the same as the photo on your website. And I like that approach from the standpoint of consistency. At the same time, if you have a lot of people who, if you have a lot of photos where it's very clear that you're the same person in all of them, your hair color doesn't change a lot. I've seen this with men where like they'll use a picture from 20 years ago when they had hair and now they're bald. Just make sure that you still look like your photo that you're using across the board. And make sure that they can see your face. Now, the other opinion of this is to use a photo that kind of shows a little bit of what you do and gets people to want to look at your profile a little bit more. So you might have a picture, if you're a public speaker, you might have a picture of you on stage speaking. If you're a teacher, you might have a picture of you in action. If you're, a plumber, you might have a picture of you holding a wrench or something like that. So just make sure that you have something good. I always like to find pictures where I'm smiling, but I'm also smiling with my eyes. And really, if you don't have any like super strategic photo, just make sure you have a decent photo. We all have our smartphones near us, like snap yourself a selfie and put that up. Do not leave it empty, because that's going to be a sure sign that one, you're a novice, or two, that you're kind of spammy. So the next section is the about section or the summary section. And this is a really great spot where you can tie together and tell people, here's what I want you to know about me. And what's nice about that is, the nice thing about that is that if you've got different experience from your past, maybe you've been in different careers, different industries, but somehow they all tie together, this is a good spot to kind of pull those loose ends together, because some people will think outside of the box and some people won't. One example of this is my original degree is actually in architecture, and I worked in an architectural firm for a couple of years when I first got out of college, and it was really hard for me to transfer from that world into something else. And what was what would have been important at that time, if this feature was available then, was to say, hey, my design background has given me a great foundation to offer graphic design services for marketing firms and other agencies. Because that's how I ended up paralleling and getting into marketing, is I took the graphic design and design skills that I learned in architecture school and used those skills to get into the marketing world. So, but a lot of people don't understand, like they think architecture is just, you know, a lot of numbers. They don't realize that there's actually a lot of art that happens in it. So you might have some experience in your background that, you know, speaks to, you know, gosh, like how do I pull all this together? Do it in the summary section. Then you want to make sure you've got all your roles in there, and all your roles can be just some of them. You don't have to list, you know, being a caddy in college, or, you know, go all the way back. The other thing is, you don't necessarily have to show all of your individual roles that if they don't particularly pertain to what you do now. So some people, if they've been in their career for 30, 40 years, you might only show the 3 most recent jobs that you've been in, especially if you've been in those for 5, 6 years at a time, showing those recent experiences that are relevant. And then, you know, an employer, if you're going for a job, employers might care about gaps in what you're showing on LinkedIn, and they might ask you about that. But if you're a business owner and using it to leverage your business, no one is going to care if you show gaps in your work history. So don't obsess about having every single role, but have every most important role that is going to help tell the story of what you do and who you are. And then I like to have the recommendations, and I'll show those here in a second. So make sure that you've got your profile. Just, it doesn't have to be, and LinkedIn will like walk you through like beginner, intermediate, all-star, once you've filled out enough sections of your profile. And so if you hit that all-star status, that's great. But if you're only at beginner or intermediate, at least if you've got the basics, you can start and add to it as you go on. So this is just a screenshot of my summary. And so you'll see here, when someone checks out my profile, they're going to see that right underneath. They see my name, my main title, what part of the country I'm in, and then they'll see my about section. And so people, like, I'm telling people, even though they're going to see that architecture experience, if they look at my roles and my education, this summary is chock full of all sorts of marketing terminology. So I'm subconsciously telling people, hey, I want you to pay attention to my recent experience in marketing, not the fact that I have a degree in architecture. And then I also threw in here my email address at the bottom. It's not clickable or anything like that, but if I want people to potentially reach out to me, I want to make sure that it's very easy for them to find the information they need. So if you're comfortable with throwing your email address out there, or even if you've got a company facing or public facing phone number, put it in your summary section. It's just another spot where someone who's interested might reach out. Okay, and then within each role, you're able to add media. You can see underneath the paragraphs there, I've got the media, and that allows you to add specific links. So if you've got case studies, or you've got examples of articles you've written, you've got a really great blog post you want to share, maybe you've got a page that showcases your portfolio work or certain services that you offer, media on each role can help you out a lot. And this also can help you feature maybe some of the projects you've done in past roles. Even if it's like, let's say you worked for a larger company. I was talking with a commercial real estate expert. We were building out his website, and he was like, well, a lot of these photos are from projects that I did when I worked for this agency. They weren't my specific ones. Putting it under his role, having links or photos from those projects, is showing that it was part of that role. He clearly worked for another company, but he's still able to showcase that work in those photos. So kind of a fun opportunity. A lot of people don't take advantage of the media links, and I think they're really missing out. LinkedIn's probably prompted you to add skills to your profile, and I highly recommend adding them, because adding skills are like adding keywords to your profile. And when you do this, it just helps your profile show up more often. And so it's a little, this is one kind of spammy thing about LinkedIn, is that, and they've gotten better recently, I've noticed, but you probably, if you paid attention on LinkedIn a couple years ago, you probably were prompted when you logged in to endorse friends of yours for skills or connections of yours for skills. And a lot of times people would endorse you for things that you guys never worked on any projects together. They don't really know you that well, but they're endorsing you for skills. So it's one of those things where, like, it's hard to trust some of this stuff, but at the same time, they are very helpful from a keyword perspective to help you show up better. So think strategically about what keywords you want to be showing up for. And then the recommendations. So I think the best way to get more recommendations is to give recommendations. And you can do that on anyone's profile. But I also have done something where I send it out maybe 2, maybe 3 times a year if I'm getting really ambitious. And you can see here, I got a couple of recent recommendations in the fall. And that's because mid to late September, I sent out an email to anyone that I've worked with in the last 6 months and said, hey, I'm practicing what I preach. I encourage people to get recommendations. So I'm just reaching out and encouraging you that if you had a good experience, or, wanted to share about your experience working with me, to leave a public review of our work together. And you can do that either on my LinkedIn profile or on my Facebook page or on my Google profile. And so I just like to send out a mass thing like that. It's a little easier, but as a result, then a couple times a year, I get a few more recommendations. And then when someone comes to my profile, they can see, like, oh, well, within the last 6 months, she's gotten positive reviews. It's not like she's did a bunch of great work 10 years ago and hasn't done anything since. So something to keep in mind. And honestly, a lot of people, if you give them a recommendation, if you work together, they'll probably give you one in return. So, and if you ever get recommendations, it's always a nice thing to give one in return. So, all right. So once your profile is up and running, you want to change your mindset. So we're talking about the brain here. We got our skeleton in place. We're changing our mindset. And the biggest piece is that this is not just a place for jobs. This is a place where you can be positioning yourself and your brand as the leaders in the industry. So keep that in mind. It's a great place. Like I said, people are paying attention on LinkedIn. And a lot of times they are high performing leaders within an organization that don't have Facebook pages, they don't have Instagram accounts, they don't spend their time on any other social media platform, but they do go on LinkedIn. So if you're wanting to get in front of specific types of people, you can do so on LinkedIn. And you can do so in a way that feels more natural. So it's not just for jobs, although it's a great place if you're looking for jobs to leverage yourself. But it's also a great place if you're trying to build relationships with specific types of businesses or specific types of referral sources or other resources for your business. It's a great place to do so. All right, so now we're going to actually get moving. We're going to start pumping the blood and focus on the heart. So there's 3 main ways to really get going. I'm going to pop over here real quick. Sorry guys, I see that there's comments coming in. I'll check on them later. But when I'm sharing my screen like this, I can't easily look at them. So Amira, just pop on and tell me if I need to look at anything urgent. So we have 3 main ways to kind of get the blood pumping and get moving on LinkedIn. One is to engage, one is to network, and one is to showcase your expertise. So let's dive a little bit into each of those. So when you're engaging with people, the best ways to do that are to like, comment, and share on people's posts. You can also send messages on LinkedIn, and that's a really great place to do so. My biggest advice to you, though, is to not over automate this. So be careful about, there's different programs out there that will allow you to send like mass connection requests and mass messaging. And it's kind of a little bot that does the work for you. I would just be very cautious of some of that. And be cautious about sending a message like right away. I'm sure we've all probably gotten those salesy messages as soon as we've connected with someone, where they say, you know, hey, thanks for connecting. Here's 5 ways you can purchase things through me. Be careful of that kind of stuff, because that's one way that LinkedIn has kind of become a spamming place. So if you're going to send messages, if you're going to make comments on things, be as human as possible. Use everyday vernacular and everyday lingo. You know, use someone's name in the comment, use someone's name in the message. Word things the way that you would normally word things. Don't overthink how you're wording a message, and keep them short, you know, unless you've got like a really good reason to be really long-winded in the message. Most people don't have the attention span to pay attention to a long message. So humanize the experience, avoid the bots, avoid being super spammy with connection requests and spamming them with a message right away. But at the same time, every single time that you like someone's post, you comment on it, you share it, that person is going to see that you engaged with their post. And over time, that's going to build more and more rapport with them. And so I like to encourage people to set a timer for 5 minutes so that you don't get sucked into the black hole of social media, and spend, you know, maybe it's Monday, Wednesday, Friday, you spend 5 minutes every morning just engaging with people's posts. Some people spend time every day doing that. The LinkedIn app is also really, really a helpful app. They've got a lot of great features. And so posting on that can be, you know, just if you've got time to kill, you're waiting in a line, although none of us are really going out these days, but let's say, you know, you're waiting at the grocery store parking lot for your pickup to come out. You could sit on your phone in the parking spot and comment on a few people's posts on the LinkedIn app. So take advantage of some of those small pockets to do something that's above and beyond. One other thing that is kind of unnoticed, people are like, gosh, like that's so easy. People have been doing that for years. LinkedIn makes it super easy to do this. Is this too spammy? Is it worth it? LinkedIn often will prompt you like, hey, it's so-and-so's work anniversary, or it's their birthday. And it'll give you the option to like auto send just a quick congrats on the new job or happy birthday. And I've been able to nurture contacts and actually get them to the point where they finally were ready to make the meeting just because I pinged them and congratulated them on whatever year anniversary at their job. It just was a simple little thing that allowed me to get my face and name in front of them. Okay, so networking on LinkedIn. This is my favorite part. So I recommend connecting with at least 500 people if you aren't already. And I like to start with people I know, people I want to know, people who know people I want to know, and then other people in my industry, people that are nearby. So the biggest thing is find people who know the people you want to know. I know that sounds really confusing, but you have essentially what's called first connections. That's when you're already connected with someone. Then there are second connections, and a second connection on LinkedIn, it'll show a little 2 next to it, to the person's name. It essentially says that you guys have someone in common. And so let's say I want to get it in front of, you know, the president of Chick-fil-A or the head of marketing of Chick-fil-A. And I have a few friends that work at corporate in Chick-fil-A, maybe in HR or in some of the other departments. I want to make sure that I'm connected with them first, because then it opens up a whole nother window of people that I have that's mutual, because we are mutually connected. and they're connected to the head of marketing at Chick-fil-A, I can then easily connect to that head of marketing because we have that mutual connection. So start with the people you know, friends, family, neighbors, people you went to college with, people you went to high school with, whatever. And then start with going down the road of connecting with people that you want to be connected with that could be strategic for your business. And then finding who are the people who are going to open up the doors for you to connect with those future people. And I would always interact with your connections posts, just like what we talked about, and then see if there's a reason to connect further. So maybe you have an article that's relevant for their industry that you want to share. Say like, hey, I see that you're working in the dental industry too. I just saw this article about how dentists are responding to the virus. You might find it interesting. And you can send that as a message to someone. Maybe you have a podcast and you want to feature someone on the podcast. You could message them to invite them to be on your podcast. Maybe you've got a free class that you heard about that might benefit them. You know, have a reason to connect with strangers. Even if it's just like, hey, I found on your website that you've got this great blog. Just wanted to let you know that I linked to it on my resources page on my website, and I really appreciated the article. You can do something as simple as that as a reason to connect with new people that you don't know quite yet. So focus on networking and realize that on LinkedIn, you have the ability to search and find the right kinds of people. So there's a search bar at the top of LinkedIn, and you can do searches for, you know, I could do search for Chick-fil-A, Colorado, and get connected with anyone who works for Chick-fil-A or has in the past in Colorado. And you can do all sorts of searches like that. So there's a lot of capability on LinkedIn to really build your network to be exactly who you want it to be.
Hey, Valerie.
Yes.
Before we move on, would you say that the golden rule of networking, about that networking is not about selling, would apply to LinkedIn as well?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's the thing where I was saying in the last probably 2 years, the amount of spammy messages that I've gotten as soon as I request a connection from someone, right, accept the connection request, I mean, it's just crazy. So sometimes messaging on like connecting with people just for the purpose of being able to message to them can sometimes be not like you're almost adding to the noise that way. So that's why I say like keep it as human as possible. Like, hey, just checked out your website and love the design on the front cover, or I love your logo. Hope your day is going well. And you leave it at that. It's telling that person like, hey, this is a real person. I'm going to take them seriously. So then in the future, if you say like, hey, I want to invite them on my podcast or whatever to learn more about me, you can do so. And we'll talk a little bit more about positioning ourselves as authority, but I think that's the best selling tool on LinkedIn. And it's one that's purely educational, purely value-based. You're not pushing a product. So don't go into LinkedIn with the mentality that you're going to push your products left and right. At the same time, you have the ability to build connections with strategic people, which would allow future sales to happen. So LinkedIn is definitely, I think, a long game approach, but it's one that has brought higher quality than any of the other social media platforms that I've focused on for strategy. Okay, so this is one that is not as relevant now because we're not in the same physical space. But this is a cool feature where you can turn on Find Nearby. So you're just going to click on that little blue button, and usually it's best to do this from your mobile device if you're at a conference, but you can click on that little person icon in the bottom right-hand screen, and it'll give you the option to turn on Find Nearby. And when you do so, if everyone else in the room is doing it at the same time, it'll bring up a screen of everyone in the room who has that turned on as well. And essentially it's connected with the Bluetooth, and it'll give you the option to connect with all those people really quickly. So that's kind of a fun thing to do when you're at a conference, is to see who in a giant conference room is at the same conference, and then you can connect with them and then message them and say like, hey, you know, what session did you find beneficial? Or you can find all sorts of things like that, other reasons to connect further with people that were at similar events as you. So not as relevant at the moment, but something fun for the future. Okay, so this is the final piece of kind of getting the blood pumping. And this is where you can really promote stuff on LinkedIn. You can also take that same content and promote it on other social media platforms, on your emails, on your website, different places like that. So this is where you really are positioning yourself as the expert, and it's so much more beneficial on LinkedIn because one, people are focused, but two, they're looking for that professional expertise there. People go to Facebook and Instagram and even Twitter sometimes to just kind of kill time. On LinkedIn, when people go there, they're expecting for people to exhibit their professional expertise in some level. So I recommend to post regularly to your profile, and this is going to go out to, LinkedIn still has an algorithm, but it's a lot more forgiving than Facebook's is, so you can reach a lot more people. But by posting regularly, those posts are going to go out to your whole network based on when they're using it and the algorithm and everything like that. But so when you log into LinkedIn, it's going to land you on your news feed, and it's showing you updates from everyone you're connected with. So if you're posting on a regular basis, your network has the potential to see your posts when they first log into LinkedIn. So just a simple post, link a little bit of text, maybe an image. You can also publish full-length articles on LinkedIn. And this is a really nice way to kind of give new life to old blog posts. So I always recommend to publish your article on your website first, and then go publish it as an article on LinkedIn. That way your website gets the attribution on Google that you were the original owner of that article. And that's a great way to kind of go more in depth without having people needing to click over to your website. They can just read the whole thing there on LinkedIn. The other thing is you can add projects and media pieces to your profile and different roles. So, you know, like if you were part of a special task force, or you were part of a big fundraising effort, or you were part of like a really big project within your role, add that as a project on your profile so that people are able to see that, and you're subconsciously calling that out to them to say, hey, pay attention. I was part of this major fundraising effort, or I was part of this major diversity effort within this company. Call it out as a special role or as a special project. It's a great way to do that. And then video. Video for LinkedIn is one of the best tools you can use right now. Most people can only do pre-recorded video. The live video feature is only getting rolled out to some people, and they're slowly doing that. Eventually everyone will have it, but for now only a few people do. So if you don't have the live video feature, go with pre-recorded. In the last 2 years, I have cut back on the quantity of times I'm posting on LinkedIn to my profile, but I've increased the percentage of that stuff that I am posting to be video. And as a result, I've seen posts reach 4 or 5 times what they average do. And also I've had people come to me, like I'll be out with them at coffee, and they will say, hey, I see you posting all the time. Like, I see your stuff all the time. You've really like increased what you're doing. And I'm like, I'm actually doing less. So video is a great way where you can kind of get more bang for the buck if you want to sit and record a bunch of videos. And again, if you've got the time right now, which a lot of us do, set up a basic set in your home, figure out a spot that's got good lighting, decent sound, it doesn't echo. And you can do a couple wardrobe changes, you know, my headphone, you know, change your jacket, change your shirt, so it looks like it was recorded on multiple days. And you could, in theory, record enough videos teaching people about, you know, answers to commonly frequently asked questions, explaining certain concepts, why is something important to pay attention to, all of those kinds of things. You could make 1 to 2 minute videos. You could make 52 in the next few weeks. And you could have a video a week on LinkedIn, and you already are doing 10 times better than you were before. So video is a great place to position yourself as an expert. And the more you're posting about this and using the same keywords and the same topics, you're going to tell your network that you are an expert in those keywords and those topics. So it's going to be a very easy thing when you are engaging with them. I mean, I just got a podcast request this morning to be on somebody's podcast about marketing, because I am always telling people, this is what I do. And regardless of what industry you're in, you could be doing the same thing. Subconsciously sharing about your industry, sharing educational materials, teaching people things, sharing recent projects, but it all subconsciously tells people, hey, I'm an expert at this. You should talk to me. When you are ready for that, you need to talk to me. All right, so a few more ways to stand out even more. And yes, this is me on the edge of a giant famous rock in Norway. Featured posts. LinkedIn has a new feature where you can kind of feature specific posts. So I wrote a book. It came out last February. And this year, on my 1-year anniversary of the book coming out, I posted about it on LinkedIn. That posted really well. So on my profile, I tagged that as a featured post. This is also a feature that LinkedIn is slowly rolling out to people. It's pretty new since January, February of this year. So if you don't see it on your profile as an option, don't freak out. It'll probably come to you in the next few months. The other thing is you might consider sending a voice message to thank someone for connecting. A lot of people, it's just different. They might get a message, but it's a link to a voice message that you recorded, or a link to a video that says, hey, thanks for connecting. You're putting that human touch back into it. So even though a lot of people get spammed in their message inbox in LinkedIn, if you're able to do something a little bit different, you can kind of stand out. The other thing is to send an email or a video email. So a lot of times once you're connected to someone, you can see their contact information. And if they show their email address, send them an email. Send them a video email. I'm a big fan of a tool called BombBomb, B-O-M-B. Horrible name, but it's a great tool that allows you to send video emails. There's also a really cool tool called Loom, L-O-O-M, that allows you to do screen share videos for free. I think they give you like 50 or 100 videos for free. And you can just send them the link to the video. And you can do screen share, but you can also do it with your camera. So then some other ways to stand out, post videos with captions. So if you have the time to make a pre-recorded video, go and put the closed captioning on, because a lot of people watch videos without the sound. And so they might be able to read what you're saying. And an easy way to do this is you can post the video to Facebook, and Facebook has a tool within their platform where they will add the closed captioning for you. And then you could download the video once that's done, and then you have the closed captioning. So, and there's also other programs out there that allow you to get captioning on your video as well. Another way is to use emojis. So just be smart about how you use emojis on LinkedIn. A lot of times things like a check mark before you start writing your text can grab their attention without looking super cutesy. If you want to throw in emojis of all sorts of smiley faces and cute puppies and chickens and ducks and all sorts of cute things, that's when it starts to get a little childish. And so just keep in mind that if you're going to use emojis, use them tastefully. And then LinkedIn actually is a great place to use a few hashtags. I like to use only 3 to 4 because when you start using more than that, it becomes a little, it looks like you're trying too hard. And it looks like you're just stuffing the post with keywords. But hashtags can help your post get greater exposure. So if you are talking about, how the coronavirus is affecting your industry right now, you could throw in a relevant hashtag to the virus right now, and it might be able to get better success than if you just use the word itself without the hashtag symbol before it. So a couple things to keep in mind to just kind of get that extra little oomph. Okay, and now if we want to get stronger and stronger is to use the search capabilities. And this is where I really love just getting really specific with people, specific with the searches for people that I'm looking for. And these are just a few different ways that you can get specific by using the quotations, and then using quotations plus things like the word and or. So you're essentially using some of these Boolean formulas to narrow down your search. And all of this is available in the free version of LinkedIn. You don't have to have a premium version to get some great search capabilities. So keep that in mind as you are considering using some of the search capabilities. And I believe Amira has the link for this PDF. So if you don't grab all of this, I'm sure she can email out the PDF, or we can get that to you as well. Okay, so similar to the content piece where I talked about, showcase your expertise, remember that LinkedIn is not the only place that you can be doing that. So cross-promote any content that you create. LinkedIn is a great spot for it, but so are some of the other social media platforms, as well as email. So if you have email newsletters set up, your website, or other channels that you've got set up, if you've got Facebook groups or different things like that, leverage those. But use LinkedIn as a great place to get some great life out of it. But don't forget about the other platforms. Give that content that you make those 52 videos for the whole upcoming year. Post them on Facebook, post them on Instagram, post them on YouTube. Share those YouTube links on your website. Give anything that you spend time making, give it as much life as you possibly can. And then use LinkedIn to support your strategy at large. Very rarely will somebody say that LinkedIn is the only part of their marketing strategy. Usually it is part of the bigger picture. It should never be just, I only market myself on LinkedIn. No, use it to support your strategy at large, and let it really be a tool versus something that dictates how you're operating. Okay. So I've mentioned a few tools on today's call. If you want to get a full live list of different tools that I have found over the years, it's got over 120 different tools, and I add to it probably on a weekly basis. There's things from graphic design to quick video tools, apps for finding content, curating content, all that. If you're interested in that at all, feel free to just text 66866, that keyword code, and it will prompt you for your email address, and I'll email that out to you. So this is just a working document that I use for myself to keep track of all of the different resources that I use in digital marketing. Most of them are free and cheap. So if you want that, feel free to grab that. It's been a great resource for me. So, and it might help you as you're creating some of the video content, or wanting to create some of the visual pieces that you could post to LinkedIn, some of those different things. I hope that can be a resource to you. So, and then feel free to stay connected with me. There's my email and my website. Find me on LinkedIn. Find me on Facebook. My company is Tintero Creative. But feel free to connect with me. I'm online all day long, virus or not. So I'd be happy to stay connected with anyone from this group. And I'm gonna see if I can get my mouse to let me stop sharing here. And then I'll just leave that there in case you need the contact info. And then let's take a look at some of the questions. So let's see, Jasmine asked, can you use stock photos if you're just starting off? Yeah, I use stock photos all the time. I like to use a website called Unsplash, which is also in that same document that I talked about a few minutes ago. And I also use a tool called a website called Freepik, Freepik, and they often will encourage you to give attribution. So to say like, hey, so-and-so took this photo and I'm just using it. But I pay like, I don't know, $10 a year maybe. And I don't have to, I get the licensing rights to use those photos. So it's not technically free, but $10 for a year is pretty darn cheap to have access to thousands of different vector files and photos that I can use in stuff. Just be careful if you're using stock photos to not use ones that everyone uses. Like if you've seen it on 20 different posts, it might not be a good thing to do. So let's see. Sorry. Stefan asked no selfies, right? Just keep in mind, like keep the selfie tasteful and make sure that like your face is as centered and square as possible. But if you can get someone to take your own photo or take the photo for you, that's obviously better. If you have a phone that gives you the ability to do portrait mode, that's super, like, honestly, our smartphones give us the ability to take some great photos without having to get the professional ones done. So if you have that portrait mode on your phone, I love that for a nice professional look. Okay, so Stefan asks, does receiving or giving too many recommendations to the same person penalize you on LinkedIn like it's supposed to on Google and Yelp? So giving too many recommendations. So you can only, I believe, give one recommendation. I could be wrong on that. I think it asks you just to update your recommendation. So I don't think that's really a huge issue. Can you do call to action posts on LinkedIn? You can, just realize that sometimes that may come across as salesy. So just think about, you know, what call to action it is. Is it, you know, hey, download this free tool or come to this free class? That's a call to action, but it is coming at it from a helpful perspective versus buy this product right now. So think about kind of what percentage you're doing call to actions versus posts that are purely meant to help someone out. Quantity or quality of connections more important? So 500 posts, I recommend people get to 500 connections just because once you've hit 500, it just shows 500 plus versus I have 130 connections. Beyond that, the more people you're connected to, the more people that you have the ability to get your message out to. So quantity is definitely a huge piece. At the same time, quality is going to be beneficial. So you have the ability to craft your network. So if you're, let's say you are a mortgage lender and your business runs off of referrals from real estate professionals, you would want to connect with people in the real estate industry. I would say 90% of your connections should be your target audience. Those other 10 or 20, you know, might be people from college, people from high school, friends, family, whatever, that are in other industries, and they'll know that you do mortgage, you're in the real estate industry. But I would focus on that quality of, if I'm going to contact and connect with people that I don't know, but have the potential to build my business, I want to make sure that they are people that are in line with my big picture business strategy. Okay, let's see here. What do you think about inviting connections to view your connections to see if there's anyone they want to meet? I feel like that's kind of an old school thing that people used to do. I think it's probably a given these days that people are going to look for who they would want to connect with. So I don't know. You could. I don't think there's really any harm in it. I don't know that it would really make you stand out anymore. Let's see. Should you post your video on your website first too? And what's my book called? So my book is called We're All Ears. It's got a basset hound on it. I'll just put the copy of that in the chat there.
I actually have a copy right here.
Oh, thank you.
You guys can see, yeah. And I'll throw a link in. I'm going to do a follow-up email to you guys, so I'll throw a link into Valerie's book on Amazon too.
Yeah. And as far as posting your video on your website first too, I would post it if you're worried about attribution pieces. So the biggest thing about the attribution being on your blog being on your website first before LinkedIn is the fact that you're technically putting the exact same text on two different websites. However, I have not seen an issue where LinkedIn is where it's looking like you're plagiarizing LinkedIn. But just to be sure, that's why I say put it on your website first. Since video has some text associated with it, but not as much as a blog post, I wouldn't be as worried about that as much. But I would say go ahead and set up a YouTube channel and throw that video up on YouTube as well, and then post it on LinkedIn. Sharing a YouTube link is going to do okay on LinkedIn. If you can post and upload the video directly on LinkedIn, it's going to perform a lot better. Okay, let's see. The name of the screen share email application. So one is called BombBomb. I'm going to type this here. BombBomb.com and then Loom.com. I don't know if it's .com. It's a Chrome extension. Loom is amazing. I use it for instructional videos all the time with clients when I can't hop on the phone right away with them. But I want to, see where they say like, okay, well, click on this play button and then select these two boxes with your mouse and you can move them, so I can kind of show someone how to do something without having to do the phone tag thing. And then they have that link. They can watch that video multiple times if they need to. So you could do it for just like a video of your face, but you could also do it as a screen share. So I found that to be a really cool tool. Okay, let's see here. If you are new to an area, are there any best first steps? Don't really know many people yet. So I would start, since you're in this webinar, I would start and see if you can see the different folks on this email, see if you can see their first and last name, and go connect with them on LinkedIn. Go connect with Amira. Go connect with people in people that work at Chamber of Commerce's. A lot of times those folks are going to be very open to connecting with someone that doesn't have a lot of current local connections. Also make sure that your profile states that you are now in the greater Denver area, if that's where you're really wanting to kind of promote and build your network. But honestly, I've found, at least in the Denver area, most people are really open to connecting. And if it looks like you've got at least a few mutual connections with someone, or you are from the same area, so greater Denver area, I am most likely going to connect with or accept a request from anyone if I've got at least a few people in common or we're from the same general regional area. If somebody is from, let's say, India, and I have no one in common with them, I'm not going to connect with them. I'm not going to accept that request. Worst case scenario, you connect with somebody and they end up being bizarre and you just disconnect, or you block them, or you can report them to LinkedIn if they're being inappropriate. But you don't have to necessarily stress too much about, like, I just accept most people. You can have up to 35,000 connections on LinkedIn. So it's a great place to, like, I don't know, odds of me hitting that 35,000 number are really slim. So there's not a huge harm in accepting most people. And I think most people are pretty receptive. And if they're not, don't waste your time. Just move on, find some new people. Eventually, if you keep running into that person in person, or you're running in the same circles from different events or groups and things, odds are they're gonna connect with you, or they're gonna realize that you sent them a request. So yeah, let's see here. All right. Do you have any resource you would recommend? The importance of equality and guidelines for a headshot. So one resource that comes to mind is Social Media Examiner, and they talk about everything. They probably, if you go to their website, and I'll just type it here. If you go to socialmediaexaminer.com, odds are if you do this, go in their search bar and you search LinkedIn, there's probably been an article written about profile photos and the importance of them. So that might be where I would go to first. And then there's a woman who actually lives up, I think, near Longmont, named Vivica Von Rosen, who has been talking about LinkedIn since it very first started. So she's written for Social Media Examiner, so you might see her articles there as well. But she might have some stuff as well. Let's see. Okay, how long should videos be? I typically like to make them about, it's very hard, like if you're trying to explain something, it's really hard to go shorter than 60 seconds. So I typically aim for that 1 to 2 minute mark. I very rarely will go over 2 minutes, just because most people are like, they just don't have the attention span for that. And if you've got like a trailer for a video or a trailer for a product or something that's like more involved, or it's more of a documentary style, thanks, Hunter. You know, if you've got stuff like that, you could go longer with it. Just realize that a lot of people are probably going to cut out after the first minute or two. Let's see here. How to use LinkedIn for your healing business. I think education is probably going to be a huge piece of that, because a lot of people don't really understand, they don't really understand like how you might be able to help them, why it's important. And there's a lot of professionals out there who are, they're burning themselves out, and they probably could benefit from something refreshing. So I would focus on expertise, like focus on education and that expertise piece, and use that use that tool of just subconsciously telling them day after day after day, this is what I do, this is why people need it. And I think that's going to be a really helpful thing. And again, you know, my contact information is all here. If you've got other specific questions that pop up, feel free to email me, and I'll do my best to answer those. And if you're looking for other resources that weren't mentioned already, you know, I can always tap into my network if I don't know something. So I'll just, with that, thank you guys so much for your time. And how to notify people that I have a video coming up soon. There's not really a way to like set a watch party like there is on Facebook. I would just post it, and then, or just do a regular post saying, you know, video coming tomorrow on this topic. What do you want to know about this question? And get some user feedback, get people commenting. So yeah, with that, we will kind of wrap this up for today. I'll hand it back over to Amira, but thank you guys so much for all the great questions, and I hope to see you all on LinkedIn.
I was trying to get out of, there we go. Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Valerie. That was awesome. A lot of great information, and I learned all kinds of new stuff today. So I hope everybody else did too. It's awesome. Jeffco BRC's goals are to do 2 to 4 of these types of workshops every week until we get out of quarantine. So if you have topics, feel free to shoot me an email and let me know how we can help. And coming up on Thursday, we have Getting Started with Constant Contact. So if you are currently not doing newsletters, now is an excellent time to do that. I think Valerie would agree with that. And obviously, you know, now it's not really about selling, right? But I was talking last week on a different Zoom call about the importance as us, as the business community, to be the leader, right? Be the leader of the positive message. And how are you managing and navigating through COVID-19 right now? And share that with your clients and customers. Stay connected with them, right? Because if you have the ability to bring a little peace and calming and comfort to people during this time, they absolutely are going to appreciate that and remember that when this thing is all over, right? So it's super, super, super important to stay connected to your community, to your clients, customers, and then, you know, share your experience. What are you doing, right? Like Valerie and I were talking before this started, you know, we all have kind of life's going like this right now, right? It's a whole myriad of emotion. But when you're feeling inspired, right? Share that. Jump on Facebook, put that out there, make a little video. Talk about, what you are doing. How are you navigating this? How are you keeping a positive attitude? And you can do that in newsletters too. So the other thing is all of our classes during this time are free too, and they will be for probably a long time because we really want to support the business community. So Thursday we have Constant Contact. Getting started with Constant Contact. Friday we are doing a joint, hosting a joint funding workshop. All the different types of funding available, grants, loans. We have somebody from the SBA on. We have Colorado Enterprise Zone. They're going to talk about the Disaster Relief Fund. They're going to talk about the new funds that were just released, micro loans, traditional SBA loans, and all the information. And Lou and I are both available to help you guys navigate that process too. Lou has actually we've added some additional business advising time. So she's still seeing people on Wednesdays and Thursdays by appointment, and we're using Zoom. So we're here to help you. We're here to support you during that time. You can coach with her about anything. Now is a great time to work on your business, like Valerie pointed out in the beginning, because most of us aren't able to work in our business, but let's work on the business, right? We're gonna do Bookkeeping 101 coming up. So if you have ideas, let me know. I'd love to put it together for you. And then on Monday, April 6th, we're gonna do just local resources. So small business resources within our community of Jefferson County. So I'll have a representative, somebody who will represent all the chambers and be able to share what the chambers are doing to support business right now. I have 2 economic development specialists on from Wheat Ridge and Lakewood. Jeffco BRC will be on, just sharing what we've got going moving forward, and also the Business Workforce Center. So if you have employees that need to apply, for unemployment insurance or co-working, shared working opportunities, things like that, we have all of that info for you. So a lot of these links and info is also on our Facebook page and on the website. And with that, I think that's it. So I will send a follow-up email. I'll include Valerie's contact info and a link to her book, which is phenomenal. This one, We're All Ears. I love it. I bought 10 copies when it came out. I was super excited about it. And then just links to our upcoming workshops. So I hope to see you guys again soon. And yes, the PDF. So Valerie, you were talking about the PDF for the Zoom talk, right? So the Zoom talk, I'm going to put it on our Facebook page. And if I can, I'll download the PDF too and include that. So that'll just delay the follow-up email a little bit, but great idea. I'll do that as well. And then if you haven't liked the Jeffco BRC Facebook page, please do that. Then you'll be able to watch this video again and share it out with folks. The other questions I got, all right, 2 other things. All of our workshops are free. Everybody is welcome. Okay, so we're not limited. Somebody asked me the other day, can somebody from Denver or Commerce City or somewhere else? Absolutely. Okay, everybody is welcome to jump on. And also, in the past, our policy has been you, as a Jefferson County business owner, are eligible for 6 free business coaching sessions every year. We are doing away with the policy. So we're really here to support you no matter how many sessions it takes. So you have unlimited sessions moving forward, and we're here to support. So just, if you have ideas, ways we can do, what we can be hosting classes or topics or things that you need, please, please, please just shoot me a text or give me a call. The phones are forwarded to my cell phone. So I'm here, I'm ready to help. So is Lou, so is Valerie. We're in this together. So with that, I think I'll sign off, and I hope I see you guys again soon. Make it a great day. Bye. Cool.